Doesn't strike me at all. Same reaction. Kathy Engelbert should resign as the commissioner of the WNBA. And the reason I said that, fellas, is because when a player, and Nafisha Kali is a star in the WNBA. This is not some role player. This is her, okay? Who also happens to be a vice president. You understand? What, Players Association.
Here's what nobody saw coming. The wildest thing about Caitlin Clark potentially walking away from the WNBA isn't that it could happen. It's how everyone acted like this scenario was completely impossible until it wasn't. One day she's being called the savior of women's basketball. The next day there's complete chaos, with the union and Stephen A. Smith is somehow the voice of reason. Something fundamental broke down when the league's golden ticket ran headfirst into its messiest politics and everyone miscalculated badly.
The truth finally came out. Caitlin Clark voted on by general managers, the best point guard, the best shooting guard, and the singular player they would start the franchise with. In the weird, insular WNBA, this has been a real struggle. You know the truth. And there's these people who are gatekeeping mentality. We'll tell you who's great. Colin, I was watching the WNBA long before Caitlin Clark. Well, yeah, it's not my problem, you're social.
Look, nobody's saying this part out loud, but the most jaw-dropping aspect of this entire mess isn't that the WNBA Players Union went nuclear early. It's not even that the whole league could be heading straight into a labor disaster.
Go ahead and look. Everywhere you turn, Indiana Fever's breaking records. All Cheryl Swoops did was validate all the speculation that there's folks hating on Caitlin Clark. That's all she did. Because to know basketball like Cheryl Swoops does, to be as accomplished as she is, to be the Hall of Famer that she is, all accolades that are well-deserved. And I'm certainly not attacking Cheryl Swoops the person because I think she's a wonderful person.
What's really hard to swallow is watching how quickly everything fell apart. The second one player quietly decided to stop going along with the program. For so long, everyone bought into this safe, comfortable narrative. The league was untouchable. Individual stars didn't matter that much.
Someone came in that everybody wants to watch, kids, everybody. You're sitting there beating it up and doing all this. All y'all become is hated. Like, have y'all not paid attention? No one is caring about anything else. You want to beat on it, they're going to hate on it. You want to talk, they're going to hate on it. Like, there comes a point where reality has to kick in. You can keep fighting the fight, and you're going to be the odd person that looks bad. Do they not know, like, when she was gone, it went back to the year before she was in the league? Yeah. Like, the view stopped.
Then Stephen A. Smith came along and basically torched that whole fantasy. He reminded everyone that those feel-good stories usually crumble the moment money, power, and massive egos end up in the same room together. 2 months ago, this whole thing seemed bulletproof.
Attack the commission, and I say that not in any kind of derogatory way. She was talking about Kathy Engelbert directly. She revealed private conversations, you understand, with quotes from this lady, the commissioner, about what she said that came across as dismissive, as derogatory, and unappreciative of the athlete.
Women's basketball was finally getting its moment in the spotlight. Packed arenas, TV ratings going through the roof, charter flights becoming reality, everyone patting themselves on the back like the hard work was over. The whole league felt like it had made it past some major milestone, where nothing could possibly go sideways anymore. Success felt automatic. The future looked guaranteed. Everything was perfect vibes only. Then the union saw all that beautiful momentum and decided, hey, you know what would be great right now? Setting everything on fire. The Players Association didn't even wait for their deal to run out naturally. They didn't test the waters carefully. They bailed out 2 full years ahead of schedule, tore up their collective bargaining agreement like it was junk mail, marched straight into negotiations, thinking they had all the cards. From where they were sitting, it all made sense. Attendance numbers were incredible. TV ratings were exploding. Big corporate money was pouring in. If you're ever going to push for major improvements, now's the time, right? But here's the problem. This whole boom isn't some ancient reliable money machine. It's brand new, still fragile, still completely dependent on one very specific driving force. The union acted like the cash flow was rock solid, diversified, and immune to any kind of disruption.
Cool to watch someone like her just start dominating. You're like, oh yeah. it's just exciting.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, she's obviously doing amazing. Her game speaks for itself. I think my favorite part is just women's basketball, women's sports really, but women's basketball has been on the rise. Like this moment, we kind of needed something.
This is
to
that
just
moment.
Like, yeah, and Caitlin's that moment. And I think a lot of it has to do with her logo threes. But you can't really talk trash on a logo three.
So a logo three is
Deep. That's
deep. That's almost half court.
Stephen A. basically had to explain to them that this entire explosion has a name, a face, and a deadly jump shot. Trying to mess with that reality isn't brave leadership. It's terrible business. While the union was making demands, talking about fairness and flexing what they thought was serious collective power, Caitlin Clark did something way more threatening. She went completely silent. No big media tour. No dramatic statements. No mysterious social media posts. She just quietly said no to the next shiny opportunity everyone assumed she'd jump at. When Unrivaled came calling with serious money ownership stakes and red carpet treatment from veteran players who were supposed to be her allies, she turned it down and went to play golf instead. That one decision hit harder than any public protest ever could have. Stephen A. didn't call it retirement. He didn't frame it as some kind of rebellion. He called it something much scarier. A quiet withdrawal. A strategic step back that sends a crystal clear message without making any noise at all. Caitlin Clark didn't slam doors or make scenes. She calmly started moving toward the exit and left things just open enough for everyone to completely panic about whether she might actually walk away for good. This is where the union messed up so badly it's almost impressive. Most players in this league desperately need this new collective bargaining agreement. They need bigger paychecks, better benefits, safer travel, because what they're dealing with now barely covers the bills. That's not an insult, that's just reality. For decades, these athletes had to play all year long, bounce between different continents and risk their health just to make decent money. Wanting better isn't being greedy. It's long overdue. But Caitlin Clark doesn't live in that world at all.
That golden goose per se, that rising tide that's lifting all boats. I stand by my past proclamations that there's resentment towards her because of that. But I want to take it a step further. There's also resentment towards her because she instigates resentment towards her sometimes.
He continues to bring this up in so many arguments, and I just don't get it because it has been disproven so many times. Like, please find me the multiple clips of the many times that Caitlin Clark was doing this in the face of.
Her WNBA contract is pocket change compared to her endorsement empire. Her brand operates completely separate from the league. Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, Wilson, and everyone else didn't sign her because of some union deal. They signed her because she changes culture. Stephen A. kept hammering this point until nobody could ignore it anymore. If the entire league disappeared tomorrow, most players would lose their income immediately. Caitlin Clark wouldn't even notice. She could quit professional basketball completely and still be set for multiple lifetimes. That changes absolutely everything. This is where that golden goose comparison becomes painfully obvious. The union wants their cut of the revenue that went crazy this season. But that explosion came from one single source. You can't spend an entire year letting that source get beat up on the court, getting attitude in the media, getting side-eye instead of support, having Olympic conversations that somehow manage to leave out the biggest attraction in the sport, media stories downplaying her impact, while profiting from her presence. Stephen A. didn't sugarcoat any of it. He called it jealousy mixed with complete denial, and that combination is poison in any workplace, especially one that depends entirely on keeping the public interested.
God gave you a person, and now you're rejecting it. Y'all should be like Caesar. I appreciate you, Caitlin. Thank you. I can eat a little bit better. She got paid this. She get a signature shoe. Hey, I'm a two-time MVP. I'm a champion. The fact that there's this much animosity about the person that's feeding you. And I'm gonna say it just like, she's feeding y'all.
Yes.
Doors that y'all didn't do. So to be honest, shut up. Cause y'all couldn't do it. Just accept it and benefit.
The numbers don't care about anyone's feelings, no matter how uncomfortable they make people. Road games became instant sellouts the moment Caitlin Clark's team showed up. The Fever started out drawing back-to-back champions. TV ratings spiked every single night she played. Merchandise disappeared from stores. Television partners didn't invest because of abstract progress reports. They invested because people were actually watching. When the union talks about sharing revenue without admitting where that revenue actually comes from, it pushes away the exact partners who fund their salary increases. League leadership doesn't get a pass here either. Stephen A. made sure everyone understood that letting a toxic environment grow around your biggest moneymaker is such an obvious failure it almost seems intentional. Any competent business protects the person bringing in all the cash. The psychological part of this whole situation might be the most dangerous thing for the league's future. By season's end, Caitlin Clark didn't just look physically exhausted, she looked emotionally destroyed. Every single facial expression became breaking news. Every interaction got analyzed to death. Every reaction turned into content for debate shows. Stephen A. suggested that stepping away isn't giving up. It's protecting yourself.
Fever and mention a multitude of players, and not one of them is Caitlin Clark, who, by the way, as a rookie, is leading the league in assists. How do you do that? I told y'all that. I've argued with the great Andrea Carter, outstanding analyst for ESPN, right here on this podcast. I've argued with Janae Ogumake, who's an outstanding basketball analyst, and Monica McNutt, one of the preeminent voices of the New York Knicks, and what she's doing with her career. They know they got my support, all love. But I'm waiting for you to say I was right. Caitlin Clark can ball. She should have been on Team USA.
When someone figures out they're happier outside a situation than stuck inside it, money stops being the main factor. Sports history is packed with athletes who retired early because the environment became unbearable. Barry Sanders did it. Calvin Johnson did it. Andrew Luck did it. None of them needed the paycheck anymore. And all of them decided peace of mind was worth more than legacy arguments. Caitlin Clark already has the financial security. If she decides mental health matters more than trying to fix a chaotic league, no contract negotiation can prevent that choice. The unrivaled rejection adds another layer of irony that's almost beautiful. That league was supposed to solve everything. A domestic option for players to earn serious money during the offseason without flying overseas. Getting Caitlin Clark was supposed to unlock massive television deals. Stephen A. strongly suggested this wasn't some accident. Caitlin Clark understands leverage way better than people realize. By refusing to participate, she's proving her exact value. If Unrivaled struggles without her, it confirms what everyone's been saying. The audience is here for her specifically, not just women's basketball. As some general concept, that reality makes people uncomfortable. But being uncomfortable doesn't change facts.
The Indiana Fever star was named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year earlier this week, and she took time to acknowledge that race played a role in her success this year. Here's a passage from the article in Times Magazine, quote, "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that..."
The timing of this union opt-out creates even more questions. Why right now? Why not wait for a better moment? The official story sounds reasonable. They want a new structure that matches the growth, higher salaries, better retirement plans, improved working conditions, all fair requests. But underneath there's obvious fear. Fear that this moment might disappear. Fear that the acceptance could fade. Fear that waiting would make them weaker. Ironically, by creating all this instability, they're risking killing the momentum completely. Fans are unpredictable. They show up because something feels exciting, not because they feel guilty if they don't watch. If the league goes into lockout mode, if games get delayed or canceled, those fans won't organize protests. They'll find something else to watch and move on with their lives. The NBA marketed Magic and Bird relentlessly because the league needed them to survive. Worrying about fairness came later after they were stable. The WNBA is in that exact same moment. Whether anyone likes it or not, acting like every player deserves equal attention regardless of their actual impact isn't noble thinking. It's naive. When the union pushes for equal results while ignoring who's actually bringing in the money, it tells sponsors that reality doesn't matter here. Sponsors usually respond to that message by taking their money elsewhere.
Do you keep bringing it up when it's also not true? And Hailey Van Lith is somebody who came out and said, Caitlin never did this to other players. She did it to her own strength coach directed toward the bench. And it's so funny because there's actually a community note on this video on X where fans came in and said, Hailey Van Lith already cleared this up in an interview that Caitlin Clark never did that towards her and she didn't do it toward other players also. You keep bringing up, digging up this old dirt and say that that is the reason.
Then there's the international angle that almost nobody wants to discuss yet. Caitlin Clark isn't just famous in America anymore. She's a worldwide brand. European teams would throw ridiculous money at her for short exhibition tours. A global basketball tour would sell out venues in London, Paris, Tokyo, and everywhere else. She could earn more in 1 month than the entire WNBA payroll combined. The WNBA is her most convenient choice, not her only option. Stephen A. hinted that globalization gives her an exit strategy the league can't control. If things get too toxic, she's got a passport and fans who'll follow her anywhere. That possibility should absolutely terrify anyone who wants this league to succeed. Because once supporters learn they can get their Caitlin Clark fix somewhere else, the WNBA becomes optional. Stephen A. called it economic suicide, and it's impossible to disagree. Television networks sign contracts expecting Caitlin Clark's upward trajectory. If she walks away or games stop happening, those networks won't just accept it. Contracts include penalty clauses. Payments get canceled, suddenly the revenue everyone was fighting over shrinks to nothing. You can't split $0 no matter how fair your intentions are.
When it comes to Caitlin Clark, now I've taken hits because I was calling it from day one. You got people that are resentful towards her, but it's really not about her, guys. It's about what she represents. Before she ever came along, there were a lot of outstanding basketball players who happened to be black females that was doing their thing on the WNBA level. And they never got this kind of shine.
There are also rumors about agent frustration happening behind closed doors. Agents know that success spreads to everyone. Caitlin Clark's presence created endorsement deals for players who never had them before. It forced charter flights after decades of pushback. In one single season, she accomplished what years of negotiations couldn't. The response from some areas hasn't been appreciation but expectation. That bitterness seems less about Caitlin Clark personally, and more about painful history. Veteran players suffered so the next generation could have better opportunities. That's how progress always works. Getting upset with a 22-year-old because she didn't have to go through the same struggles makes emotional sense, but it's not practical business strategy. Fans are emotionally connected to Caitlin Clark, not union negotiation drama. Ratings, jersey sales, and social media engagement prove that point. Clark keeping the unrivaled option in her back pocket was a perfect power move. She showed that she can stay relevant without even playing games. The same can't be said for most of the league. If basketball stops, who still has Super Bowl commercials running? Who still dominates news cycles? Who still generates money without touching a basketball? That gap is the uncomfortable truth everyone's trying to avoid.
I had no problem with her being Times Athlete of the Year. You see why I said that she should have been on Team USA? You see why I had to go off on the likes of Cheryl Swoops and others who were clearly distant and dismissive of her, no matter how much they try to deny it? There was resentment towards her, and here's why I said it was stupid. Because when she came into the WNBA, for 22 plus years, they had been flying commercial. They were begging for chartered flights. She arrives there, and 2 weeks later, they got chartered flights.
Right in the middle of all this chaos sits one simple truth that feels almost unfair. Caitlin Clark doesn't need the WNBA at all. The WNBA absolutely desperately needs Caitlin Clark. Stephen A. didn't announce any official retirement, but he confirmed something way more disturbing. This league is one terrible decision away from watching their biggest star realize she's happier, wealthier, and more influential outside their system than trapped inside it. When the union opted out, they thought they were driving a military tank. What they forgot is the league itself is just the vehicle, and Caitlin Clark is the entire engine. Engines don't negotiate or argue with anyone. They just work or they don't. Caitlin Clark already proved she can step back without breaking a sweat, and that fact alone should absolutely terrify every executive involved. The union meltdown was loud, emotional, and reckless, but her response stayed calculated and absolutely devastating. History usually remembers the quiet decisions that changed everything, not the screaming matches that destroyed it all.